quality the product would have been, and I don't know if he would have had his heart in it like he did before.
Anran's incredibly clunky.
Kiriko Lucio have been meta for like 2 years. Blizzard, please!
Welcome back to Overthink, the game show where I ask contestants a series of Overwatch hot takes to see where they stand. Feel free to play along in the comments to let me know what your opinions are on these hot takes. And if you'd like to actually be on an episode, go ahead and sign up in my Discord. I host these live on my Twitch channel most Sundays, so please go follow me on there to catch a show live. And lastly, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. Overwatch is in the best state it's ever been in.
I started playing in 2017, 2016-ish, at the very end of 2016. Been playing for a bit, and I have had the most fun playing recently within Season 1, as I have for as long as I can think of, if I'm being completely honest. I've also been a lot more okay with playing for longer lengths of time continuously during Season 1.
So, Velvet speaking, I'm in somewhat agree because so I joined Overwatch in 2019 towards the end, so I wasn't there on release. But from what I know, on release, it was pretty well liked. Often, like for a while, it was very well liked until characters like, Brigitte came out, and then it kind of lost that. But I started playing again in like 2022 when Overwatch 2 came out, and I've been playing since, and I haven't had as much fun on the game until this season. Like, I think all the new characters are really fun and interesting, and honestly, this is definitely probably the second best state it's ever been in my opinion.
I started playing Overwatch back in 2022 when Overwatch 2 came out, and personally, I do think this season is so fun. The new heroes are so great, but my only real annoyance or dislike is the balancing, and it can get incredibly frustrating when you're playing the game and it just feels unbalanced. You're not having fun, and I haven't been having as much fun as I have when I first started playing Overwatch comparatively. That's honestly the only reason why I'm saying this game isn't technically in its best state, when numbers wise it technically is, but personally I don't think it's in the best state for me, at least.
I started playing since the beta in Overwatch 1. Season 1 has just felt very stale. It felt like the exact same as like the patch before it and like the 2 patches before that. For me, it's just felt very stale. The characters that are good are kind of boring to play against. A lot of the higher skill ceiling characters feel like not as impactful. Tracer keeps getting pushed out, which I feel like isn't fun. Same with Monkey.
Support continues to be the most broken role in the game by far.
From my experience with playing competitive compared from last season to this season, I think support is really, really more like overpowered in this season, only because like they're now introducing to the reduced healing passive towards the whole wide of roles, meaning now basically DPS don't really have that edge for them being able to provide for what the team needs. Now support like a Kiriko, for like myself, can just literally do the job for them. So definitely this given like a little step edge for like really good game sense support players that are able to basically do what the DPS jobs are supposed to do.
I'm in slightly agree because I agree in general support is the overall best role, but Zarya and D.Va are also in the game. So that inflates tank a little bit. Kiriko Lucio have been meta for like 2 years. Blizzard, please! Please help! It's so boring. We just have to nerf those characters. And then see like where the rest of the cast is.
I agree with the note of like the Kiri Lucio backline being so prominent for so long, because that's where my somewhat agree came from. The fact that this same supports can be stagnantly so good is why I feel like the role itself is that strong. And through every meta being able to run the same support comp, I feel like in my mind that makes it like those characters and the role in general just very strong and unfortunately stagnant. Like, you can't really play a Moira and a Zenyatta, even if they're a little less good, because the outweighed potential of having a Suzu or a Sound Barrier is that important. And that's what makes it so strong, in my opinion.
Supports are pretty much glorified DPS in their current state, especially with the healing reduction, as Agent P said, that's applied to the entire catch. That extra bit of poke, that extra bit of damage that Kiri can bring, Lucio can bring, Baba can bring. It's crosses those breakpoints that counters that healing reduction. So say you aren't doing as much healing, but the amount of damage that you are also doing at the same time to surpass the DPS or whatever, I don't know, just kill people. It's important for supports to be able to do that, and it just makes them so strong. Because why can a support two-tap me from all the way across the map? They're just glorified DPS at the moment, especially with Lucio and Kiri being the consistent meta for so long. Just the poke damage that they can do is absolutely insane to me.
In my opinion, support is not OP because of the global health healing reduction passive. It makes supports to heal bot more than often. It even made the devs buff the medic sub role, if that makes sense, so that you can heal more even though you heal yourself more. So you get more value out of it. It didn't even have to be like that from the beginning if they didn't do the tweaks to the healing reduction, in my opinion, which makes even that made for the devs to rework two characters, if that makes sense, for next season for what they have been saying, because they're not in a healthy state. Even though Kiriko and Lucio are meta, other supports who can technically be meta because of the healing reduction and the healing output that they have, normally they don't push that. Wu Ying has even a better ult, in my opinion, than Lucio sometimes, because you can push in and get value out of pushing in, so the enemy just backs out because they're afraid to getting stunned. Or even though it's they heal, they cannot heal as much. You encourage to just heal bot.
I feel very passionate about this as somebody who does main support. I know I said previously that this game has been the most fun that I've been having on this game in a while. However, I have noticed myself kind of straying away from support because of that global reduction or healing reduction passive. It makes it feel like I'm having to overperform and do the job of multiple roles as a support, which kind of has been making the game a little bit more difficult, and it has been the reason why I've been straying away from support for a bit. Which is why I would say that it's not making supports broken, because I don't really think you can say that supports are broken because of their damage when they're having to overcompensate for the lack of damage from DPS.
So the reason I'm in disagree is also because of the healing reduction passive. It's definitely are having to heal bot a lot more than usual, which I think is definitely not great. So that's mostly the reason why I'm in here. But I definitely understand where everyone else is coming from, when it comes to supports being able to kind of DPS really well. But with characters like, Diva, Vendetta, Zarya in a game, that's kind of what drew me to disagree, because I feel like they're very strong right now and that kind of outweighs it. So that's mostly why I'm in disagree, but I've definitely been convinced a little bit by everyone in agree.
Is there anybody that would like to change their stance after hearing other people speak?
What everyone in agree said about how supports can DPS really well and that they're glorified DPS, which I definitely do agree with. Kiriko and Lucio being meta and they can do really good damage. So that's kind of what drew me more towards slightly disagree.
The game would be in a better place if Jeff Kaplan was still on the Overwatch team.
In my mind, I'm probably also a little bit on the disagree side, but we really don't know how things would go. It's also the fact that a lot of stuff was out of the Overwatch team's control and due to higher-ups, so I feel like maybe some of those things would not have changed anyway, so I'm not sure to have a differentiating feeling in my mind for a question like that, in my opinion.
As much as I would love Jeff to come back and give his ideas of what he would have wanted for a future Overwatch 2, quote unquote. During the interview, genuinely it felt like he was just, his hands were tied at that moment, during Overwatch. And he tried his best on what he had on his cards, but the people above him basically made him fold so fast, and that there's no winning way for him to have in the situation that he was in. He can't make the fans happy, he can't make the workers happy, and Like he was forced basically to like pump out money that he realistically that he can't figure out like what's a good way to manage both sides of the company and the shareholders, you could even say. And I feel like if he were to stay for Overwatch 2, he probably would have had to do decisions that weren't good or bad for the game, if that makes sense. As in, like, he would be not happy in a state if he stayed.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Reiko said earlier, I definitely agree, but not only that, when you are in that position, it kind of, you know, I've been in that position before in my own job, and it kind of makes you resent the job that you're doing. And going off of that, I feel like if Jeff were to stay on the team, I don't know how quality the product would have been, and I don't know if he would have had his heart in it like he did before because of the position that he was in. And that's not saying like, oh, like I like disagree with, you know, things that he's doing, but I think that when you're in that position, it makes it a little bit difficult to find the light, so to say, in your job, and I think it definitely would have reflected in his work, if that makes sense.
I do think that Jeff did what he could at the time, but the current state of Overwatch, I think, like Anran's leadership comparatively has been so much better. There's a difference between like the executives versus like the people who spearhead the game's design and all that kind of stuff, and just comparatively, I feel like Anran has been doing such a good job. He's actively listening to the community, and they're making changes, updates, keeping things, I mean, as fresh as they possibly can, and I think that is so important for the game. Having Kaplan on the team for his ideas, sure, but leading the whole Overwatch development team as a whole, no, I would not say it would be beneficial in this current time and place with Overwatch 2 and then dropping the 2. Anyways, you get what I mean.
All right, is there anybody that would like to change their stance after hearing others speak?
It's kind of specific with what was said previously. I do agree that I don't know if Jeff should be the head of the development team, but I think if Jeff was in a position where Bobby Kotick was still not the CEO, I think he would have a lot more leeway to explore like the story of Overwatch, which I think would have helped the game grow a lot more. And I think there's a good chance we would have had a single player story in that world, but it's really hard to say because obviously we do not live in that world.
The 5 new heroes brought into the game this season were all executed great, aka are fun, balanced, etc.
Okay, this is gonna be crazy, but I have enjoyed every single one of the new heroes, and I do think they were a genuinely great addition to the hero roster. Even though some of them might be a little bit weaker, some of them might be a little bit stronger, overall, every single one of them that I have personally tried, I have enjoyed, and I genuinely cannot be mad because each of them individually are fun, but they also can work together in different comps. Some of them fill holes, some of them don't, but overall, I do think those 5 additions, great addition to the game. It keeps things moving, it keeps things going, it freshens up the options that people can pick because it does get stale, and having more options just opens up more opportunities for people to play the game, be introduced to the game, all that kind of stuff. So I do think they are a great addition to the game, so I do agree with this take.
The reason I slightly agree is because they are really, really, really fun. Like, I love Jetpack Cat so much. I've been waiting for her to be in the game for like so long now, and she's probably the most fun character as of right now for me to play. So that's kind of why, like, I think they're all really fun. Like, all of them have something for everyone, like, if that makes sense. The only reason I'm not going to fully agree is because, you know, balancing issues. I mean, Jetpack Cat is banned a lot of games still, very often. And, you know, I understand why. She's definitely can be very punishing with her ults, but I think her kit is really fun and fresh. You know, being able to carry around teammates and enemies is something we've never had before, and I think it's really cool. And all the other heroes are really awesome as well. I'm very biased towards the cat.
I'm on a neutral stance because I don't have enough time to play on every single character. The only 2 I mostly do play is Anran and Mizuki, and those two are the most fun for me. But I rarely play Jetpack Cat. I rarely play Emery, and I rarely play Domina, and I just don't think I have enough time to say and like what I feel based on the buffs and nerfs they all 5 of these heroes receive in the past patches, and I don't think I have a direct opinion or answer to the question.
I actually think they nailed 4 of them. I think Domina's cool. She's a cool poke tank that's like a little Sig alternate. I think Anran could be sick if they buff her a little bit. I think Emre's like probably the most fun hit scan in the game. I think Mizuki's really cool. What is that cat, dude? What is the cat? How is that thing in the game? What are we doing? I don't know how that was. I don't know how she was released in the state she was released in. Like, you have diva damage and you're silent, you have permaflight, and you can carry people with 0 cooldown. I don't think it's like a complete failure of design, but I think she needs a lot of changes to like how the carry mechanic works. They've nerfed the damage now, which is good. But that carry needs to be nerfed like significantly. And then maybe buffer healing a little bit to compensate. But I don't know. That it's just way too strong in its current state.
Very similar to why I previously said Season 1 is nowhere near the best patch we've ever had. I have never seen a game release 5 characters at once and it do, like, nothing to the current meta. Like, we had Cat is maybe playable if you one-trick Cat, and that's about the only impact we had. Every single newer character has kind of had to get buffed besides Cat, and it felt like the characters just weren't, I feel like, tested in respect to the rest of the hero pool. And so I feel like they kind of were a bit lackluster in that regard.
Is there anybody that would like to change their stance after hearing others speak?
I was in agree, and I moved to somewhat agree because the fact that the competitive meta has not shifted at all does say something, but I also can't deny that all of the 5 heroes that have been introduced are fun and people enjoy them, and I feel like for the overall player base, that's what matters, is that people enjoy them and have fun, so.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, same reason why I made my switch. I am, in my brain at least, kind of valuing a little bit more, less competitive gameplay. And I think that all of the 5 heroes that got released all kind of introduced something new that we haven't seen yet to the game. And that's kind of why I switched to a hard agree.
Anran is one of the worst heroes in the game. Go.
She doesn't do a single thing better than any other flanker in the game currently. If you want like backline pressure, you just go Tracer. If you want someone who can brawl a little bit, you go Reaper or Genji. She just doesn't like bring anything to the table. And then she also like isn't great at winning 1v1s. So she kind of just like sets you on fire, shoots you a couple times, and then she falls over because she has no sustain. I think her shift cooldown could probably like be like halved if it doesn't hit anybody, so that you can use it to move around the map a little bit more. But she just like, she's not that fast moving around the map, and then her mobility is also her damage. So she's kind of just in this weird spot where she needs to be close but doesn't have the sustain. She's just like overall not in a very good spot at all.
The reason why I'm here is actually almost entirely because of what Squiggle said, but I think a lot of that stuff can be fixed. Anran's incredibly clunky. If you've ever played Black Panther and Marvel Rivals, you'll know what I mean. She feels awful to play. They've slowly like made it a bit better. She has the ability to like nuke every squishy in the game in under a second. There's a lot of interesting combos you can do. It just feels hard to execute them because her abilities work in very clunky ways right now. If they fix that, I think she could have a very small niche.
Honestly, in my opinion, Anran is not the worst right now. Biggest example, as a Mercy enjoyer, Mercy's not in a good spot right now. She's so dependent on Flash Heal right now that you can barely get value out of damage boosting sometimes because of the anti-heal passive. Same for Life Weaver. Even though you like have a full bloom of 80 heal, you like barely do stuff and you depend like on just heal botting. You can like barely do damage sometimes, and it procs you just to heal bot, and to like really have fun.
I know I've been talking quite a bit, but I feel very passionate about this as somebody who plays Anran a lot. Kind of in contrast to what Squiggle said, I don't really think people or characters need to fit into a specific niche. I think it is very healthy for the game to have at least a few all-rounders when it comes to one specific thing. And I kind of feel like that's what Anran is kind of shaping up to be right now. Because yes, you know, she might be outclassed by other flankers in certain areas, but I think the versatility and the ability to be able to perform, you know, this similarly to other flankers can, I think is really what makes her special. And can sometimes be the reason why you win a game on Anran. So I really don't think that characters, specifically Anran, needs to fill a certain niche to be considered viable or good.
She is not like any other DPS. Yes, people like to say like, oh, but this DPS can do this DPS can do that. And like, people just like to compare on like, oh, but this is meta and she's not. So really her kit doesn't really give any value to the team, which is like a fair comparison when you're trying to climb up the ranks. But Anran in her kit is so fun. And like you could do basically almost anything you need to do for the team. The rollouts you can do in maps that are like no one else can really do with her movement ability, especially the now buffs so she can grab like small ledges, is insane. You could flank around, plus your ultimate that holds you in the air, and you could slingshot across the map to get to a certain point to contest. Her flame, the fact that like you can ignite someone and then just fan once and it'll restart the timer to fan them again, making Akiri having to use Suzu or Zarya use her bubbles, basically wasting the resources so that your main tank at the front line can put more pressure at them, or the other flanker can help get the kill after you wasted the resources. And yes, I will say like, you know, a cast could do a better job of just like poking damage, you know, just getting 2 headshots and then boom, you win. But for Anran, you could do so much more. You could play differently, which is what I love about her. And that's what I personally believe.
Is there anybody that would like to change their stance after hearing other people speak?
I was in somewhat agree, and I've moved to neutral. I'm using my 1 neutral pass because both sides have made such good points. Because yes, you gotta take into consideration the casual side of the game, but you also gotta take into consideration the competitive side of the game. And in the competitive side, she's very weak, but in the casual side, she's very fun. So it's both sides. She's not good, but she's not bad. She's kind of just in the middle. So that's how I feel, at least.
Switching for similar reasons, I kind of find myself aligning a little bit more with Reiko's point of view than the somewhat disagree, because I do think she is good to okay. I wouldn't say that she's necessarily bad. And I think that it is important to have characters that are just okay. Of course, you know, it's kind of natural to have that kind of ebb and flow between characters being good, bad, somewhat okay. I feel like her just being okay is more than enough. I don't think... I feel like people would be complaining about her either way if she was good or bad, so I think this is kind of like best case scenario for Anran.
This is the worst comp season by far. All games feel one-sided and unfair.
Frankly, I haven't played too much comp this season, but the little bits I have has been so weird. I guess because of the rank reset and having to adapt to 5 new heroes, I'm not like the greatest player, so I'm obviously not like adapting and learning super fast, so it'd just be like a skill issue problem. But I feel like, especially in the lower middle ranks, these sudden changes that we've gotten with 5 new heroes, because you don't really get true stagnant team comps in the middle. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but more often than I feel like it's not. It's made games feel so much less unreliable, if that makes sense, to where things that have felt right before just do not work right now, in my opinion.
I know I am only in plat, but from my personal experience playing this season, it has been absolutely miserable in the middle low ranks. Simply because Diva exists, Zarya exists, Vendetta exists. Those 3 heroes piss me off more than anybody else on the entire roster. Do you want to know why? Because they're strong. Too strong. And Kitty Lucio enables them. You don't see that a lot in that rank, but if, say, a diva has a cutie code that can teleport to them and suzu them at any point whenever they need it, it's so frustrating because they just don't die. And also, the damage output from Diva. Diva can do so much. She can dive, she can do this, she can do that. And then you have Vendetta, who's getting bubbled by Zarya and killing off your entire backline in 0.2 seconds. I hate it. I am not having fun. I hate it so much.
To add on real quick, I need my team to stop going Reinhardt, please. I cannot do another Reinhardt against a Diva. I can't.
Honestly, I have like a really neutral opinion about this because I just like play comp for fun, if that makes sense. And I honestly don't care if I like lose or win mostly. Obviously I play to win, but I don't care, so it's like either sometimes games just go really quick, some games just drag, some games are just like, you know, one-sided sometimes, but I honestly don't mind that because that's how usually comp games go. Sometimes you get snowballed and just get diff, you know?
I haven't really felt like too much imbalance, personally. I think the only time that I have is when you have people that are either like lower rank than they should be because of rank reset or higher rank than they should be because of rank reset. And I think that's kind of just what comes with the territory when you do like a solid rank reset on a new season. So there hasn't really been anything like out of the ordinary that I have been like expecting this season.
I think there's only been like a few seasons where I've ever felt like the game is like ranked is like in a terrible spot, and that was like season 1 and 2 of Overwatch 2, because just, oh, they have a better Sojourn, okay, we lose. Every single game feels like if I play correctly and I play the best of my ability, it is unbelievably easy to win as a tank player. Very few games ever actually feel unwinnable, almost at all.
I feel like I kind of have a unique opinion against everybody because I have been playing a lot more ranked than what I usually have this season. I tend to be more of a casual player, but saying that, it kind of surprises me that people are so for this. I don't want to say upset, but that's the only one that comes to mind right now. Like upset about games being, you know, like, oh, like we completely stomped them or they completely stomped us. Because I've had both. I've also had really good middle ground games, and that just feels like any sort of game ever to me. Even I know there were, you know, a lot of conversations about like MMR and matchmaking and things like that. I don't think you should expect to have people who are on your exact same skill level every single game ever. And so I just think that recently the whole conversation about, you know, like games feeling really one-sided has not really resonated with me, because I just kind of go into the games with the understanding that, oh, there are going to be people who are better than me and there are going to be people who are worse than me.
So, with all that being said, is there anybody that would like to change their stance after hearing others speak?
I still stand by the things I said, but I feel like, especially mostly since I'm in like more of the middle ranks, I feel like I should feel less negative about my takes. I still feel like sometimes games just feel weird, especially with the rank reset, but overall, as everything settles, it doesn't deter it or make it feel as off as I usually think it does. Like, I feel like it's still pretty good right now.
I went from slightly disagree to full disagree, mostly because we've definitely had worse seasons when it comes to competitive. Especially like just throughout Overwatch's history, we've had way worse times and, you know, worse metas and stuff. I feel like this is actually one of the seasons where I've been climbing more in a sense. So I don't think it's that bad for me personally. I understand why some people could be struggling, and there definitely is some very powerful heroes currently that need to be adjusted. But for the most part, I'm thinking more comparatively that we've had worse times, and I just don't think this is one of those times right now, but I definitely can understand why it might be for some other people.
Prime.
To the 1, to that 1, to that 3, I'm here to party. GG. A giant gorilla can keep up with me.